Today, we are going to be taking a look at Liyue Harbour. And we're going to be talking about, me and Tete, we're going to be talking about world building, especially about different cultures and how they interact in a fantasy work.
Yes, absolutely. I think this is an aspect that I think not quite a lot of people give thought to, or rather, they do include it, but they make it convoluted and it just feels very disjointed because I feel like you need to borrow examples not only from history, but just life and reality itself and try to blend that in as best as you can.
Exactly. So, do you feel like sometimes some people kind of like they either do too much work on it and then basically you lose sight of everything else, and some people, make it too vague?
I think there's always an extremity. I feel like you either have your people who go excessive and they have info dumping and it deviates, it distracts you. It gets you off track of what you need to focus on in the story with the characters. But then unfortunately, I think the bigger problem that I see in a lot of fantasy works is vagary. There's so much vagary. There's no crisp, vivid detail. There's no minute details that really enrich culture and history and political and social interaction. I feel like that's a lot of it lacking because I've been reading a number of modern, like current fantasy things, and they just feel so vague. Like honestly, these could take place in, I don't know, anywhere. It doesn't feel like, for example, they'll say, "Oh, this is the country of Thessalonica or something." I'm just making it up, but the thing is, well, what makes Thessalonica Thessalonican? What makes these people the people or the culture? Why don't you also show different regions? Because you might have even the smallest country has different regions where there's different dialects, different food, different atmospheres, different environments. You cannot just say, "Oh, here's this homogenized culture and then this place and this political thing." And also, why not differing political views as well? Don't always make it black and white. Like, "Oh, I hate the king," or "I love the king." Maybe make it where people are just neutral about stuff, or I don't know, people want to start their own political thing. I think more thought needs to go into these things.
Do you think Genshin Impact has done a really good job of this?
I think Genshin Impact is one of those rare examples where they had thought of every detail, and these are some of the aspects they have mastered so well because it feels very real. I mean, yes, it's fantasy and, obviously we do not dress like this, although I wish we did dress like this. But, at the same time, it feels more believable and palpable than a lot of other fantasy RPGs. And I think it's an underdog, to be honest.
Right.
Hmm.
So, for example, what do you like about the world building, and why does it not feel vague, as you said? And how would you compare it to one of these modern fantasy genres or modern fantasy works that are very vague?
Well, okay, for example, we are being driven by wonderful visuals here. I always think when you're writing, you need to really know when to have a vivid description. Like, for example, for a ceremony, a ritual, a rite, a tradition, or maybe describing something of some emotional significance, I feel you need to stress a very vivid description of not only the food or clothing, but the significance of that food or clothing. Like, for example, um, okay, let's just take my work scale, Blood and Bone. I was talking about the significance of the blue and white color scheme. And, it's not that it just looks cool or something, but these are the colors that represent, Jules' people, the Salik. And, their colors are blue and white, and that was also inspired too because they lived in a valley where the grass was so like lush and green that it looked blue, and sometimes if you're looking at a hill from afar, they do look a little bluish, like a mountain. And that is a significant detail. And I guess other things too. Maybe describing a ritual or a rite or dinner time, like a favorite family dish. Well, why is it a favorite family dish and why is it unique to that region or people? And then you could say something like, the reason these people love fish stew is because they live near the ocean, and this fish stew sustained them for many years, and people cultivated herbal gardens unique to that area, and this is what makes this fish stew so unique. And people like to prepare a different kind of fish stew for the holidays because then they add some sort of special ingredients that's been, I don't know, maybe blessed by religious authorities or something, or I don't know, cooked in a pot handed down by their ancestors or something.
Right. And how do you think, for example, Liyue Harbour does this? Like, do you feel like it's not vague? And how do you think it compares to Mondstadt in terms of character?
So Liyue Harbour has a lot of character, just like Mondstadt, but you see it's different. And I think the difference is Mondstadt is, of course, very Western Europe based. It feels very much, like I said, Western or Central Europe based, and it's beautifully done. The atmosphere looks a lot different too. It's more green and gray with softer colors of gray and brown. It's more bucolic. Meanwhile, Liyue Harbour feels decidedly more urban. It's had a longer time to develop. You have these elaborate palaces and pathways and alleyways and little shops and little places and big places. So it definitely feels like, something very ancient, but at the same time always innovating. So, and also too, we can see the influence too, Mondstadt taking it from Western Europe or Central Europe. Liyue Harbour feels very Imperial Chinese. I'm not sure which era, but I guess King. Wait.
Qing.
Well, yeah, King. Is it King? Qing. Oh my god, I didn't know that's how you pronounce it. Oh my gosh, I've been pronouncing it wrong my whole life.
The Q is always pronounced as a CH because of the system in China, mainland China. Yeah.
I had no idea. Oh my gosh, no wonder when they said Qing vase, I got confused and spelled it wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So basically, I think it's a mix of things. Personally, I think it's just inspired by China in general, but take a look at this. I think this is also interesting too. Liyue has different areas. So for example, this is Liyue Harbour in the Sea of Clouds, right? So it's like a harbor area. So it's also like Mondstadt, surrounded by a body of water. And then there's also other places like Bishu Plain, Minlin, which also has a small village. I think this was where the cloud place was it? I forgot. But there's a place with a lot of clouds and, like the mountains and stuff. And that's also part of Liyue, which makes it actually bigger, I think, than Mondstadt. Because look, Mondstadt is these areas, right? You can see where my mouse is.
Oh my gosh, it is small.
So this is Liyue, and we're not even done exploring. There's probably stuff here. And down here is Inazuma, which is the area that's inspired by Japan. I can't access it until I'm level 30, and I'm only level 20 now.
Wow, this is so amazing. I love this world building. It is so solid, man.
It is, yeah, and you want to explore this part too. This is actually where I want to explore later tonight. This, I think, is Dragonspine, sorry. And that's where, it's very, very cold, and it's a very tall mountain. Kind of like the mountain you see in Skyrim, where ironically there's also a dragon associated with that mountain as well.
Dragons. More dragons, yes.
Yes, and it's interesting because I finally figured out how you can go to these places, like these islands, because you can't really usually swim that far, but you can use Kaya and make him use his ice attack, and then you can actually walk in water because he turns water into ice. So if you do it long enough, you could reach this area, technically.
Oh, I love this. This is so fascinating. And you know what? I love that the map feels realistic. It's not just a smorgasbord of random patterns. It feels very realistic.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's very engaging, and it makes you want to explore more of it.
I think it does. I mean, I would like to say people writing fantasy worlds, take note. This is how you should do your maps.
Right. And we want to give a shout out to our follower, Endless Midnight Moon, who actually is kind of one of the reasons we wanted to do this series of podcasts.
Exactly. We want to give a big shout out to Endless Midnight Moon. Endless Midnight Moon is a brilliant creator. She has the foresight. She's also very, how do I say, she really gets into the meat of things about social and political aspects of things, world building, geography, regional differences. So she's one of the very few creators I've seen out there that understands the gravity and necessity of having these things. So we really hope that, we want to thank you for like inspiring us to create this series, and we hope that this helps you.
Absolutely. Oh, by the way, here's a character called Andre.
Whoa, Andre, that was random.
Yeah.
Wow, how'd Andre?
So
Look at him. He's a spinning glass.
So it turns out that this bank in Liyue is operated by people from Snezhnaya, which is, what is it called? A Genshin Impact's version of Russia.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Imagine though, if we go to Snezhnaya, we're gonna meet like that version of Andre.
Yes, and I like
man.
how also here in this bank and all the conversations we're having with the NPCs, they're already setting up an atmosphere of intrigue. So, for example, Andre's telling us that many Liyue locals still seem to harbor some resentment towards our bank. They think our presence here may be damaging the Liyue economy. But this clearly can be an opportunity that benefits anyone. As long as we can be fully integrated into the marketplace, the economy will only continue to grow more. As for our own nation's economy, we have the brilliance and foresight of Master Pantalone to thank. And we mustn't forget Her Majesty, the Tsaritsa of Snezhnaya.
Wow, already some cool world building, and we're seeing conflict that's realistic. But it makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you get into big urban areas, there's like banks from all over the world. Like go to a capital city or just a big city, and there's like random banks from all over the world and embassies and stuff.
Right, and this actually is also a really interesting piece of dialogue with Ekaterina, who is the receptionist of the bank. And basically, she kind of warns you here. Of course, should you take a loan from us, do remember to service that loan on time. I advise you not to take us to be an ordinary bank. We will not have debts go unpaid. Let me put it this way. Have you seen an iceberg? You can only see what floats above the surface. No one can know what lies beneath. Understand this well, and it will go well with us when you do business with us.
Oh my goodness. Like, thanks, Yekaterina. I'm never stepping into your bank again. I just feel like if I take out $50, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, and then you ask her about what's her relationship with the Fatui, and she says, "Do you mean to ask about our relationship with the Fatui? I apologize, but I cannot speak of such secrets. What I can tell you is that the Fatui Harbingers are key clients of ours. Just as an example, the number of zeros behind the amount of money that one such as Master Child has deposited in our coffers would be enough to boggle the mind. But to ones such as the Harbingers, money is but a number. If they want anything, I fear there is little to stop them from obtaining it."
I wonder if this is a secret cry for help.
I think it is.
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, help. Yeah, we gotta save Yekaterina. I don't know.
Katya.
Blink twice
Katya and Andre. They're so close.
Oh, no,
in the same room.
In the same room. Oh, you know what? I would be worried if Katya was a bank receptionist and Andre went in the bank. Can you imagine how he'd flirt with her?
He won't take no, right?
No, he won't. And I mean, he's gonna force his phone number on her.
Of course.
And he'll just like put it on. He's gonna write it on a check. He's like, "Here's my number, Devushka."
Typical. And then he waggles his eyebrows.
Yes, how'd you know? And he leans over, elbow propped on the counter, and he's like, "I expect you to cash in that check soon, Devushka." And he waggles his eyebrow, and he kind of gives her a sexy, smoldering look as he looks over his broad shoulder and leaves.
Mm-hmm. Look at how beautiful the colors are at night.
The colors are so rich. I love the fact that you have these glowing lanterns, but they're very soft and they add a sort of ambiance that it's not overwhelming, it's not garish, but it just has a soft glow.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can buy random stuff from this lantern lady. A potato, sugar, and cheese. And core lapis, which is, I think, for evolution. Yeah.
Yay!
Electro crystal. Let's buy one of those.
Yeah, buy a lot from this lady.
Oh yeah, there's
You
a
know,
fortune teller here.
Ooh, tell my fortune.
Antiques.
I
That's
will.
right. I might make a meager living doing for fortune telling at the docks, but I still love collecting antique items.
Ling. Hmm,
Okay, so she can't tell my
thanks.
fortune.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find her another time when she's down at the docks reading fortunes.
But yeah, I love these
I love
conversations with
this. This is so
NPCs.
nicely done. And you know what? I know, I love that. You learn a lot about the world, and that's something too, like it's always great to focus on the main characters, which is a good thing, but you know what? Adding more characters that may just appear for a couple sentences also give reality. Like I was sort of learning that when I had the SBB version of Doris talk to Joel. That actually felt very real, more realistic anyway.
That's true. She doesn't have to play a big role, but her warning says a lot about Benjamin as well as Jules himself.
It does. It says a lot. It shows a lot about his character too. Like he's so stubborn that he's not listening to this ominous warning, from this woman who has seen it all because, that she's been with Venomia all these years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's another way to integrate NPCs into your world building and also to reveal more things
Exactly.
about the main characters.
I know. It's like I do want to do more with the shadow people, so we may be seeing some shadow people pretty soon. Yeah.
Especially
And it
one
just
who...
adds a little.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
go
yeah?
ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was saying especially one of the shadow people who actually impacts Malka a lot.
Exactly, especially. There's one that coming up, he has quite an impact on Malka. And I think we're going to be talking to a few shadow people who really resent, they sort of feel like they were deceived by Joel into this kind of servitude.
Exactly. It's good to see more, different viewpoints because, it's realistic for them to not all like it. If they all agreed with him, it wouldn't be realistic at all.
No, it wouldn't. There was some that probably thought this was going to be great, and it didn't turn out great for them, and they're now resenting it, and they kind of wish they'd stay shadows. Maybe there will be some that want to revert back to being a shadow.
Do you think he would grant that wish?
I think he will try to reverse it, because it's not like it's an easily granted thing. It was more of a sort of a complicated, irrevocable creation, so I think he's going to try his best to get them back to that state.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's actually kind of sad because I don't think Joel ever meant to harm anybody, but I think he made so many assumptions on what made people happy.
Definitely. Oh, by the way, speaking of commerce, Endless Midnight Moon has done a really good job of building, a very understandable and very comprehensive commerce system in her world.
She definitely has. Like when I look at the business transactions that are going down, business negotiations, the marketplace, even like how a theater works. I am blown away because it feels so realistic. Like, wow, because nobody does these things. Like, I don't want to say nobody, but very few people do it, let's say.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, this food looks good.
Yeah.
Oh, the fried radish balls. I love fried balls,
I'm gonna try,
I
because
love
I'm
them.
waiting for them to give me more flour right now, because I need flour to make it. I can just buy it right here. Because I can
Yeah, let's buy
generate
it from
my
this
own.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, does he have flour or do I have to? I have to wait. I have to wait 43 more seconds. For
Oh, that's all right.
23 more seconds.
Oh.
I'll
It
make more
reminds
of
me
these
of those.
things.
It reminds me of those really delightful little balls filled with bean paste that I really love, that are sesame seed cover. I love those. I could eat them all the time. They're so good.
Okay, one more second. So now we can start
Yeah,
cooking. Batches
fried radish
obtained.
balls. Yes.
Oh no, we still can't. What is missing? Pepper. I can't create pepper.
Ooh,
Yeah.
pepper.
But yes, just like we talked about last
Gotta
time,
buy some.
I love the food and all the tiny details here. Oh yeah, we can buy pepper.
Yes. Pepper.
I'm gonna buy more
Pepper.
random stuff here because apparently you can't make certain dishes without random crab.
That's true. Should get some good rice.
I already got 10 potatoes. I already have 12 cabbages. More tomatoes.
Might as well.
How many onions do I have? Well, let's get more.
More onions, dude. Oh man. Now I have a really hankering for those little bean paste balls and some sushi now.
They're so sweet though.
Really? I don't know. They tasted well. I mean, I guess because I'm used to like the really sickening sugar stuff. It actually tastes really mellow to me.
I think anything is sweet, so
Oh, that's true. That's true. But I love them. I mean, if I didn't have to worry about getting so full and wanting to enjoy the other food, I could probably eat a plate full of that.
they're very filling from my perspective. I think they're not very good for people with digestion issues or if you want to eat cleaner because I think they have a lot of oil in them from being fried.
Yeah, unfortunately. I probably wouldn't make a habit of eating them every day, but I don't know, once every 3 months, eat 3 or 4 in one setting.
But yes, I'm sorry, I don't know why I suddenly have something stuck in my throat. But yeah, if anyone knows me in real life, you would know that I have the blandest taste palette in all of YouTube. Well, I mean English speaking YouTube, because everyone's saying, oh, bland American food. You know, if you have eaten anything that me and my family makes, it's 10 times blander than quote unquote American, typical American food. Or, you know, quote unquote white people food, as people on YouTube say.
Yeah. You know what I want to say? I feel like a lot of white people food now, they got to specify what it is because a lot of white people food is over inundated with stuff like buffalo chicken, Cajun stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what they're saying when they say, "Oh, it's so what was the word? It's so bland." Like I don't know what they're talking about because it does not feel bland to me. Do they just mean boring or do they mean actually like tasteless? Because I don't think any of those things are tasteless.
I don't think they're tasteless. I think what they mean is unimaginative because you know, there's certain elements to make things and make it interesting. Like, well, you know, for example, I think about, you know, I know what I'm eating is primarily fake, but I like the ingenuity of this little restaurant I frequent. And I appreciate that unlike other establishments of this same nature, they add a lot more originality and they have more variety of imaginative flavor and dishes. So it's not your usual MSG loaded stuff, and you know what I mean. Like there's more variety and more regional things. But I do notice too, like compare it to like Western food per se, or like I don't know. Well, I guess Western food, not Westernized, whatever.
Yeah.
I appreciate that they use the elements in creative ways, unlike just like a lot of things in the West is like, here's your meat, here's your veggies, but they don't do anything to blend them. They're just like, here, eat this separate. But with the food I see from this restaurant, they blend it and they prepare it in such a way that it creates kind of like a symphony.
That's true. Yeah, I think it's just also when we say American food, are we really being fair? Because I think a lot of people just generalize things, which is not a good thing to do for anything, to be honest. But like when they say American food, you know, they're usually talking about something that shouldn't really be compared to, you know, haute cuisine, you know, just some like, I don't know, Arby's sandwich or, you know, three layered hamburgers, right? Or something like that. But is that fair?
Exactly.
I mean, like there's junk food in every culture.
Fair.
Not every American eats like that. And not every culture has something that's very, very unhealthy. So I think this weird dismissal of American food as oh, it's so disgusting and bland and blah, blah, blah. I think they're only talking about one type of American food. Like, for example,
Exactly.
Hungry Man, I don't know, like, those boxed lunches and
Fuck.
stuff.
Yeah,
Or
it's like
refrigerated food or something. But I mean,
your
every
refrigerated
culture
food.
has this. It's not just America. And I don't
I
know, I'm not trying to
know.
say, oh, you can't, I'm not, a patriotic American. I'm not American at all. I'm just saying it's unfair that people are making this comparison to begin with. And it just feels like it's part of the zeitgeist to just rip on anything that's American. But sometimes you just have to be a little bit more precise with your language. Yes, go rip on something from America that's bad, but just don't lump everything together and say, oh, it's bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like for example, there's a lot of nice dishes that one could call American. And then, you got to specify what do you mean by American? Like people in California eat different than like say people where I'm from in Pennsylvania. Like we have a lot of dishes and food that no one's ever heard of or um I don't know, random people, I don't know, in Georgia have different food or like New Orleanian food is definitely different than the food where I'm from and um we have interesting things that are unique like I know it's junk food but we have unique things like um pickled beef that tastes very sweet and sugary. We've got tea berry ice cream. um we have all sorts of different dishes that are unique to our region. I mean even this region of Pennsylvania where I'm from, which is more let's face it, Amish influenced, so there's a lot of like sugar and fat just because of like the bucolic setting. Um, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think people, like you said, they really need to redefine their language and what they mean by that because you just can't go. And also, I think it's a lot of it's posturing. I think a lot of
It
it's
is.
posturing. What do you think?
And like I said, like there's also this kind of romanticization I see in a lot of Americans from what I see on YouTube. They think other cultures are always so healthy and stuff, but that's not necessarily the case. It's true
It's
that there's more
not.
there's more overweight people in America, but I think there's more reasons to it for that. For example, the whole suburban life and relying on cars for everything also contributes to the obesity issue. But I mean, it doesn't mean everyone else is eating very, very healthily and everyone is so great at cooking. It's just Americans, especially white Americans, that can't cook. That's not true.
That is not true. My mother can't cook to save her life, and she is not a white American people.
Yeah, I just don't like this
Cannot.
weird posturing and this romanticization of quote unquote the other in capital.
Exactly. It's like, well, for example, just the thing I was describing the little sesame balls. Those are very unhealthy, and half of the stuff that I really enjoy, even though I know it's, kind of fake and westernized, a lot of it is unhealthy. Like the sesame seed balls, the ultra fried saucy chicken, and um, I mean, I guess the only thing that maybe is healthy is the sushi,
That's
I
true.
guess.
I just
Yeah.
realized something. I think I don't want to sound too judgmental or anything, but I realized that a lot of American Chinese restaurants, they don't have anything or they barely have anything that's healthy. And unfortunately, that contributes to the idea that in the minds of many Americans that quote unquote Chinese food is not healthy because that's what a lot of these restaurants serve. And that's why I don't really like talking about Chinese food, in English, to Americans and other people, because sometimes they have that kind of idea in their minds already. And I don't
Yeah,
want to
they
start
do.
arguing
And
with them, but I do get angry when they make this assumption, so I just prefer not to say anything.
no, I understand. I mean, and I just wanted to put that out there because it's like I see a lot of things that are really healthy and nice, like the steamed fish. Um, I know it's not Chinese, but I dearly love sushi. Um, I fall in love with it. But like the steamed fish.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to sound embarrassing, but I don't know if egg drop soup is considered healthy or not. I have
Let
no
me
idea.
think. I think it's not that bad. It's definitely better than a lot of other stuff. I think it's better than
It
Campbell's
is
soup.
much
Provided they actually
better.
make it. I mean, if it's refrigerated and, if from a can, it might not be that good.
That's true. I don't know. I don't think you can egg drop soup, can you? Because like, wouldn't
I
the
don't
eggs go bad?
know. I don't know, man. Anything can be canned. I mean, if Campbell can anything, I think anything can be canned.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I mean, I do like the healthier. And then also too, I was really impressed with the different fruit varieties. Like, oh, well, I really love lychees and kumquats and things like that. I was really impressed to see all that. And well, the ice cream seemed healthier because it was more fruit based. So it was more of a sherbet than it was like a sickening, thick, creamy ice cream.
That's true, but those are also those are fast food. They're considered.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, you know what? It's too like a lot of people like. Well, I mean, we're by no means expert in Japan. Well, I'm not anyway. But like a lot of people say, oh, Japanese street food. But you know, a lot of that is like terribly unhealthy. Like the little fried balls on a stick. What's it
It's
called?
not
Dango?
takoyaki. Oh no, takoyaki is the fried squid ball thing.
Little fish.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
little white thing that's made of rice flour, that's what's it called? Dango. I don't like it. I'm sorry, guys. I don't like that. I also don't like takoyaki. I don't like any of that stuff. I actually just prefer the rice dishes.
that's true. I also I do not like Pocky. Honestly, it tastes so artificial and I tried eating Pocky. I hated it. It tasted like bad dollar store cookie thing.
It's very dry, and okay, I liked it as a kid, but when you get older, you just realize how bad the flavors actually are. So I haven't eaten Pocky in a very long time.
Yeah, that's
I don't like the
true.
sweet ones. I mean, the pizza flavored Pocky is well, it's not Pocky, it's called pretzel or something, but it's related to Pocky.
Mhm.
But it has all the savory
Ah,
flavors. There's a pizza, there's a vegetable flavor. I kind of like those because I'm more of a savory person than a sweet person.
that's true. I have to agree with you. I think I'm more of a savory person as well. The more I've trained my palate, I no longer find sweet things as satisfying.
Yeah, I think the problem with me and sweet things is not really so much the taste. The taste is okay. It's just that it makes me feel very full and I can't eat real food afterwards. So then I feel bad because, I can't join my family at the dinner table because I feel bloated by the sweet stuff already.
That's true. You're right. The sweet stuff makes you feel kind of like full and sick. Like after I eat a little piece of chocolate or something, I don't want to eat the healthy salad.
Yeah,
Then I feel bad.
exactly. So then it just feels weird and then you didn't have a proper meal. You just, gorged yourself on the sweet stuff instead.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, there's so much that's something people need to really think about, flavors and things like that and sweets and things and I was even looking like just random observations. So I was looking at different gingerbread. So the Tula gingerbread made in Russia, it's very different from American gingerbread or English gingerbread or German gingerbread because it uses less sugar. Plus, it has a lighter quality, so it means it's more mellow, and it puts a more emphasis on the use of ginger as a varieties.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's interesting
definitely.
because
I
I was
think,
thinking Dre likes to eat.
yeah, if red, they basically have more of a sour palate rather than, extremely sweet or extremely
Yeah.
buttery, which America tends to be more like that, very buttery and very sweet. Hello?
Oh yeah, I think we got a really bad lag on my end. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. I think I had a lag too because
I think it's fixed now.
I'm trying to open the exquisite chest, but
Hopefully.
it's not letting me. I think it's because of the lag.
Mhm.
That was weird. I can't open a chest.
I think you're
Oh,
right.
now I can open it. Now I can get the
Wow.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we got it. Oh, cool.
Okay, now I can get everything.
Lucky
Okay.
dog equals better.
Oh, look. So now we can look at the city from
But
this
yeah,
place. Yeah.
yeah. So, where am I here? Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, regional differences in Russia too. Like, what Andre eats in southern Russia is different than what a northern person in Moscow would eat. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that concludes our amazing podcast today. We did a lot of stuff tonight talking about the intricacies of Liyue Harbor, and food as well, and also talking about kind of off topic a lot of other things. But this was very fascinating.
It was wonderful. I love I love Liu Harbor. It's so intricate. I hope we can visit again sometime.
Definitely. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining.